The opening scene of the movie introduces us to Riley, the protagonist who has inherited her parents' small bookstore. Determined to expand her business, she plans to open a coffee shop next door, but lacks the funds to do so. Despite applying for a loan from an investor, she hasn't received any news about the status of her proposal. The investor appears to view her small bookstore as a risky investment, especially given that she can only afford to employ one person, her friend Sonia. Riley's love life is another source of complexity in her life. She has been in a relationship with Mandla, an aspiring writer, for the past 3 years. Despite her deep affection for him, she knows little about his family background, except that he hails from South Africa. Mandla hasn't been much help to Riley's bookstore, but she remains devoted to him. While enjoying a lunch break in the park, Mandla received an unexpected phone call from his mother, who urged him to return to South Africa for his parents' 40th wedding anniversary. Wanting company, Mandla invited his girlfriend, Riley, to join him on the trip. Despite the invitation, Riley was hesitant to accept, knowing that she still needed to secure a loan for her bookstore. Later that day, Mandla dropped by Riley's bookstore to present her with 2 plane tickets to South Africa. Despite the gesture, Riley remained unsure about accepting the invitation, until her friend and employee, Sonia, convinced her that the trip could be an opportunity for her business. With Sonia willing to take over her responsibilities in her absence, including dealing with potential investors, Riley agreed to accompany Mandla on the journey to his hometown. As Mandla prepared to leave the bookstore, he accidentally stumbled upon a rejection letter from the investor regarding Riley's loan application. Seeing how much it meant to Riley, Mandla was moved to take action and come up with a plan to help her. After a few days, Riley and Mandla landed at the airport in South Africa, where they were warmly welcomed by Mandla's best friend, Sifo, and her sister, Nandi. However, Riley's excitement quickly turned into shock when she arrived at Mandla's family home and discovered its grandeur. It was then that she finally realized Mandla's true identity as a prince from an ultra-wealthy family. Feeling overwhelmed by the revelation, Riley implored Mandla to be completely honest with her moving forward. She was tired of being kept in the dark and didn't want any more surprises. That evening, Riley struggled to sleep despite the soft and luxurious bed in her room. Her hunger pangs got the best of her, and she tiptoed to the kitchen to sate her appetite with a delicious meal. While relishing her food, she was caught by Mandla's mother, Queen Nobuntu, who seemed displeased by Riley's behavior. The queen regarded Riley's unannounced intrusion into her kitchen in the middle of the night as disrespectful, particularly because Riley hadn't asked for permission. The following day, as Riley was still pondering over the mysterious investor, she received a call from Sonia with great news. The building next to her bookstore had been purchased by an investor who wanted to give it to her for free. Although curious about the identity of the donor, Riley was overjoyed and decided to set the thought aside for the time being. However, as she navigated the vast palace, she accidentally wandered into the study of King Chidike, who was busily tinkering with model airplanes. Unlike Queen Nobuntu, King Chidike was friendly and welcomed Riley with open arms. Later on, Mandla escorted Riley to the dining room to meet his mother. Unfortunately, Queen Nobuntu didn't seem too pleased to see her and reminded her of the previous night's encounter in the kitchen. Mandla was visibly upset at his mother's behavior towards his girlfriend. During breakfast, the atmosphere was tense, with Queen Nobuntu displaying hostility towards Riley. To make matters worse, Nandi arrived with her son, Lyanda, whose glum face only added to the awkwardness. It was clear that the boy was still grieving the loss of his father and had forgotten how to smile. To lighten the mood, King Chidike attempted to make small talk with Riley and expressed his gratitude for her accompanying Mandla home. As the king and queen were chatting with Mandla and Nobuntu, an unexpected guest appeared. It was Ayanda, Mandla's ex-girlfriend and the woman whom Nobuntu had hoped would become her son's future wife. Nobuntu even introduced her as her future daughter-in-law to Riley, who misunderstood the situation and thought that Ayanda was indeed Mandla's future wife. Feeling hurt and confused, Riley quickly excused herself and went to the bathroom to call her friend Sonia and tell her she wanted to go home. But Sonia encouraged her to stay and talk to Mandla about his relationship with Ayanda. Meanwhile, Mandla was dismayed by Nobuntu's immature behavior and pleaded with her to stop interfering in his relationship with Riley. He made it clear that he loved Riley and did not want any confusion or drama. Nobuntu refused to accept Mandla's relationship with Riley and urged him to choose Ayanda as his partner instead. According to Nobuntu, Riley was lacking in customs and manners and was a foreigner, unlike Ayanda, who was their elegant and polite neighbor. However, Chidike came to Mandla's defense and reassured him that he had done nothing wrong by choosing Riley, and that Nobuntu's views were simply a result of her conservative nature. After speaking with his parents, Mandla visited Riley in her bedroom and pleaded with her not to leave for America. He explained that while he and Ayanda had been teenage sweethearts, he no longer had any romantic feelings for her. Ayanda had only come to their house to help with party preparations. Riley believed Mandla's explanation and was once again in good spirits. The following day, as Riley was admiring the breathtaking view from the balcony, Nandi approached her and confided in her about Lyanda. Ever since their father's passing, Lyanda had become increasingly withdrawn and would only talk to Nandi, which had left her feeling anxious about their future. However, Riley could empathize with Lyanda's pain, having lost her own parents. Despite the challenges, Riley believed they could help Lyanda by introducing him to the world of fairy tales. Determined to make a positive difference in Lyanda's life, Riley accompanied Manla to town to purchase a book filled with magical tales. Upon her return to the palace, Riley wasted no time in reading the fairy tale book to Lyanda in hopes of lifting his spirits. Her efforts were successful, and Nandi expressed her gratitude for Riley's kindness towards Lyanda. In fact, Lyanda seemed to take a liking to Riley and eagerly requested that she read him more bedtime stories. The following night, as Riley read another enchanting tale to Lyanda, she was unaware that Nobuntu was watching her through a crack in the door. Witnessing her grandson's newfound joy and laughter, Nobuntu's heart finally softened towards Riley. During the family's photo session the following day, Lyanda made a heartwarming request for Riley to join them in the photo. Despite Lyanda's initial objections, Nobuntu kindly extended the invitation to Riley, acknowledging her place within the family. Later, Chidike proposed a family activity of building a model airplane, and Lyanda eagerly joined in, beaming with happiness. Witnessing her grandson's joy, Nobuntu was filled with gratitude towards Riley, whose efforts had succeeded in bringing Lyanda out of his shell once again. Riley was alone when Nobuntu approached her for a private conversation. Nobuntu shared that she had married the king at the age of 16 and it was her responsibility to preserve the customs and traditions of their country. She explained that it was natural for her to oppose Riley's relationship with Manla because he was the future king, and according to tradition, kings should marry women from their own country. Riley responded by sharing that she had no idea that Manla was a prince. Manla had always lived a simple life and had never displayed any indications that he was from the royal family. Nobuntu understood this, as Manla had never shown anyone that he was a crown prince since he was a child. Riley was not the first person to be deceived by his appearance. At the king and queen's wedding anniversary party, Riley looked absolutely stunning thanks to Nandi's help. With a professional stylist working on her hair and fashion, she was the center of attention. Manla introduced her to the royal family and his relatives, and she enjoyed herself. Suddenly, she received a call from Sonia, who had received word from their angel investors. Unfortunately, they refused to reveal their identities. The only clue they had was their company logo. Sonia sent a picture of the logo to Riley, hoping she had seen it before. But unfortunately, Riley didn't recognize the logo at all. While Riley was talking to Sonia on the phone, Manla was seen talking to Lyanda, who revealed that Riley's investor is her brother from the United States. Manla wants to help Riley expand her business, but he doesn't want to let her know about it, so he asks Lyanda's brother to help him buy the building next to the bookstore. However, during the conversation, Lyanda tries to kiss Manla, and Riley witnesses it from afar. Filled with anger, Riley storms out of the party and accidentally comes across a logo that matches the one Sonia sent her. Finally, Riley discovers the identity of her mysterious investor. Shortly after, Manla comes after Riley and tries to explain that what she saw was just a misunderstanding. He reveals that he's the one who bought the building next to the bookstore with Lyanda's brother's help. But he never expected that Lyanda would take advantage of this opportunity to cause problems between them. Although still a little skeptical, Riley eventually returns to the party and dances with Manla. As they dance, Manla suddenly gets down on one knee and pulls out a ring to propose to Riley, who happily accepts. And with that, the movie concludes on a happy note. The moral of this story is that if we already have a partner, we must be willing to open up to our partner without hiding anything. We also should not be quick to prejudice our partners and be willing to forgive each other's mistakes.